Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Excuse me. Welcome to tonight's Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting. I declare the meeting open at 6:05, and the council acknowledges the traditional custodian of the land on which this meeting is being held as that of the Billigor people of the Eora Nation. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded on audio tape for minute-taking purposes and is also being webcast live on Council's website. This recording will be made available on Council's website. Code of meeting practice. The order of the business is as shown in the agenda, which has been made available. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is open. Doors to the meeting room are to be left open unless the meeting moves into a closed confidential session according to section 13 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. Mobile phones must be turned to silent during the meeting. Make sure everyone's on silent. Apologies. I haven't received any apologies. Have we received any apologies, Leslie, from anybody?
No.
No, we haven't received any apologies. Sorry. Yes. Apologies, as in councillors, we don't have any. As in council.
No councillor apologies.
Yes. We have apologies from Ms. Megan Barker.
That's correct.
That's right. Owners of Angelo's Florence Cogra Retail. Anybody else?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Can we have someone move that we accept the apology?
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Barilati, seconded by Councillor Capris. I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against declare that carried. From councillors, disclosure of interest or any staff, do we have any councillors or staff that have a conflict of interest?
Apart from this,
I'm giving it back so I don't have to declare anything.
I'll give it back to.
Now, let's be tonight's meeting. I'm sorry, I'm going to be speaking faster than normal, which is impossible, which means you won't understand what word I'm going to be saying. Just very quickly, for tonight's EDAC meeting, it is to be run from 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. due to council workshop following the meeting. They've sprung a workshop on us to do with the special rate levy. It's important that we are there. And I'd like to also welcome new members attending for the first time. Mr. Matthew Carter, Manager of Environmental Services at Hurstville Private Hospital Health, replace Shane Coon. Is Matthew here?
Not here as yet.
Not here, but we welcome him.
Not here as yet,
Mr.
Chair.
We will welcome him in advance anyway, in anticipation that he's going to be here. Ms. Sonia Fenton, CEO of the Garden on Forest Peakhurst Hospitality, replace Chantel Chapman. Welcome. Thank you. Okay, they're the new people we have. We have 6 reports on the agenda, and before we move on to the report, there are no speakers registered to speak tonight for the meeting, and we don't have to remind you of anything because there's no speakers. Confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the Economic Development Advisory Committee held on Tuesday, the 18th of June 2019 to be adopted? Moved by Councillor Capra, seconded by Councillor Barilati. Do we have any discussion? If there's not any amendments, discussion. If there's none, I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against declare that carried. Next, the first item on the agenda is EDC 15-19, Cogra Health, Education and Innovation Precinct, Draft Cogra Management, Draft Cogra Investment Attraction Strategy. Ms. Weatherly, who's
So
going to
I
be...
might just pass on this to Stephanie, the officer
Yep.
to work on the project. It's a very quick overview of the strategy and the fact that it's now on exhibition. We're looking for feedback.
Thanks, Sue. Hi, committee members. This report is to advise the committee that this strategy has been endorsed by council and is now on public exhibition until the 20th of October. So the strategy really capitalises on Cogra's existing strengths and areas of specialisation and looks at the competitive advantages compared to other health and education precincts. And so it looks to build a precinct based on 4 Rs, which is around recovery, rehabilitation, restoration and regenerative medicine. So these relate to the areas of specialty of the existing health and education institutions in Kogarah, as well as the research focus of the UNSW Medical School, and as well as our health services in Kogarah. So we're currently conducting targeted consultation with Kogarah's anchored institutions, and we've already met with 2 hospitals, the TAFE, the UNSW Medical School, the Research Foundation. So we really welcome and appreciate any feedback the committee has, and it's on public exhibition until the 20th of October.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Just a quick comment.
Yeah, sure.
The strategy is actually very good, it's very detailed. When you spoke to the hospitals, as we're sort of focusing on the area becoming a health district, the health specialty district, there's going to be a lot of staff, and those staff are going to need accommodation. Do they provide accommodation within the hospital, or are they going to be relying on development occurring around the hospital for, say, bed sitters, one-bedroom units, etc., a hospital?
Yeah, sure. It's a great point. It seems as though they'd be looking to council to look to facilitate this short-term medical accommodation, and certainly also for visiting professors and delegates. So it's something that we have addressed in the strategy and also be addressing in the common collaboration area, which is all around making sure we do have that accommodation to attract students, workers, medical visitors, as well as professors and delegations as well. So that's something we address, address projects.
I would also add that the other opportunity here is the fact that council has already upzoned the area of Kogarah North. So the future development in those areas may well become attractive locations for people who live who work in this precinct or nearby. And I think that's one of the advantages of that past upzoning. We also acknowledge that some of the specialists, like the surgeons and the research scientists, may very well work in more than one location, and therefore they might be trying to, important for us will be those connections and how people can get to this location and travel to perhaps not one of the other medical precincts as well. So transport will be important, not just housing immediately in this precinct.
I'd like to ask if I can, in a similar line, something that really reduces the cost to our public health system is the transition of patients into group homes, other accommodation, different ways of enabling
Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to ask about the plan for, obviously we're going to grow this, the employment, so the state department economy will be thriving. Is there a part of the plan where it looks like how does the commercial district benefit from that, or what is the plan to activate the commercial district so that it's providing for the needs for growth?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And with our work with the Greater Sydney Commission and Baseline, it's all around a place strategy for Kogarah. So that talks about the public domain, public amenity, a nighttime economy, hospitality, retail. So things that actually are crucial elements of any precinct that will thrive. So things that will make people want to work there and stay and mingle. So this strategy will complement that other strategy, which we're currently developing right now, and will be providing council with an update of that as it progresses, but looking to be endorsed by the end of the year. So the two strategies really will complement each other because it is around those ingredients to a successful precinct where people want to actually live and work.
Yes, and stay. Yeah.
Live, work and stay.
Thank you.
Live, work and stay, I like that. Okay, is there any other questions or discussions that anyone want to do? If not, I'd like to congratulate staff on a great strategy, and I'll be looking forward to the comments back from the community to see what they give us, and I'm sure we'll take those into account and refine our strategy to suit. So thank you, that's actually a great step forward, so congratulations. All right, so can I have a mover for that? We move that the report be received a note, and we receive a note. Moved by Councillor Badlani, seconded by Mr. Shrake. I'll put that. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, declare that carried. Thank you. The next item is EDC 16-19, draft Hurstville Place strategy.
For this, we have, I think Helen will speak to this item very briefly as well. Again, a document which is a draft. This one has not yet been fully considered by the council, but will be presented to the council shortly.
That's great. Thank
For
you.
purposes of exhibitions.
Yep.
So High Committee members, so as Sue mentioned, the strategy is yet to go through council. It will go through council on the 23rd of September, so in a couple of Mondays' time. So what we're asking you to do with this is just watch out for it. It will come on, hopefully on public exhibition up to the 23rd. The strategy is really addressing what key things we need to do for Hurstville now to make a successful place into the future. We know there are multiple things that we could do, but this is looking at the main things. So it's addressing things like the need for open space, it's addressing the need for a nighttime economy, it's addressing the need for a green city, green in the way that we look at sustainable development, but also green in our tree planting. So there are some really key actions there that I encourage you to have a look at. Once it does go on public exhibition, and if you do want to talk about it a little bit further, if there's anything specific that you want to know relating to your particular business or areas of interest, please get in contact with Sue and we can have a detailed conversation.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions or comments? Or
Just one comment.
yeah, sure. No problem.
Because through the chair, it's, as I said, both documents are actually very good documents, very detailed. And there's encouragement for open spaces, street furniture, all those sort of things. The one fundamental thing is people maintaining their buildings and painting them and cleaning them. There's no point in us putting so much money, or can we come up with some type of encouragement, whether it's a cash encouragement or subsidy type encouragement for those buildings to be cleaned and maintained. Otherwise, you can put as many nice street furniture and you can do as much as you like, unless you actually change the attitude with regards to maintaining their buildings and spending money on their buildings, even if the council has to subsidise, it's not going to look good. It's
So
not going to.
we are planning to do a bit of review of a number of different programs that councils have tried in these locations to see whether or not there are some successful models that we might be able to apply, not just for Hurstville, but some of our other centres that may also benefit from an appropriate scheme. We've certainly got a long list of programs that have been trialled. There's also a fairly long list of those not being terribly successful. So we need to learn from others. And we will come back to the committee with a report on that matter because it was discussed at our last committee. So we've started to look around at different models and see if
Two points, and it's further to what you were just saying. I've got a bit of bee in my bonnet about Chapel Street across from the hospital, where it's used as a garbage dump for cigarette butts. And it's actually the hospital's responsibility because they've shifted it from their property into the public property now because they've put signs up to stop people from smoking on their property, so they just go across the road. And it's absolutely a disgrace.
Interesting enough, one of the other items we're talking about today
Yes.
is Fiona's here to speak about the littering campaign for Hurstville and cigarette butts certainly fall within that, category. So I'm sure she'll be able to answer that question when she comes and does her
And
full presentation.
the other thing is the shopping trolley issue around Hurstville. It's unbelievable. You can go a kilometre and a half away and find shopping trolleys that have come from Westfield. And it's not the council's responsibility to pick them up. Obviously, Coles or Woolworths or whoever they belong to pick them up. But I don't think the public should be allowing it, I suppose.
So we've also got a report coming up on the shopping trolley issue, but not.
Yeah.
Fiona can talk briefly about that issue, I think, when she talks about the littering and Hurstville campaign.
Through the chair, in terms of the shopping trolleys, I was over the Coles on top of the station, and I walked through to the old Cobra side, and there was a gentleman there with a shopping trolley trying to get it past the front door, which you can't. Now, if Coles can do it over there, why can't they do it in Westfield? And as well as Woolies and Aldi's.
Yeah,
So-
I'll be able to answer that question. Perhaps when she comes to talk about the.
On the trolley now.
Yeah,
Not those.
anyway,
For
okay.
the chair,
Yes.
like Aldi's, you have to put $1 or $2.
Instead of holding it in there. So
Yeah.
having said that, I agree with you totally.
Nick, you want to ban trolleys, that's the problem. Anyway, can I, is there any, sorry, yeah?
Closer into the city, some of the retailers have trolleys that when it gets past a certain point, the wheels lock.
Yeah. We've got that in one.
That's the Coles.
We have a Coles up the top.
The wheel lock and the guy was trying to push it out.
That's a safety issue now. Guy's trying to kill himself.
I just wanted to acknowledge the council on your vision for business in the Hurstville area and putting in there a potential incubator, looking at the changing pace of business moving forward, because traditional business, we need assistance and we need to create something that is focused on what's culturally aligned with this area. So I'd like to take that up with you as well.
And we would like to have any, to speak to any members of the committee about any of their comments in relation to the strategy and how it can be improved. Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say there's 12 priorities in the Hurstville, and they're very big priorities, and the focus is often on very little things that have a big impact.
Yeah.
And so I'd just be interested in your process of consultation, particularly with community groups, because looking, for example, at the healthy lifestyle as being a really high priority, that is so culturally informed as to what is a healthy lifestyle. And so I'd be very interested as how you're integrating the different perspectives in defining what
So, as part of the consultation for this strategy, you might remember Hispanic Municipal. So that actually informed the community engagement process for this, which was great as well, because we were able to show people, or able to actually provide some quality open space for people for a short period of time, and that informed the consultation. So that was one element where we just captured people as they stayed and they played. And then we also spoke with the Multicultural Advisory Committee and also the Youth Advisory Committee, and we had a station set up at Hurstville Library. Then we also went out to some of the centres around Hurstville, so I think we went to, off the top of my head, sorry, it was Oatley, Penshurst, and there was one more, it might have been Allee. I just had a conversation with them as well. So you're right, there's definitely nuances in what a healthy lifestyle means for certain people. But if we are focusing on Hurstville City Centre, those people that live here were consulted, and hopefully that their needs for a healthy lifestyle are reflected in this strategy, which means more open space, more green, a cleaner environment.
Thank you.
With part of that healthy environment, do we encapsulate our ageing population for social inclusion?
Yes, but we talk about, it might not be under that specific project, but we talk about the ability to have a walkable centre and a livable centre, so that encapsulates the needs of an older population as well, making sure that they have access to their services, making sure they have access to amenity, public amenity, so it's definitely captured throughout the document. It just might not be specific to that action. If you think it should be specific to an action, please provide feedback.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Functions or events or
Yeah.
something with the budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we've got a central plaza now, so we should be able to use that very effectively.
Absolutely, and we're hoping to create some additional spaces as well.
Absolutely. And that would
If you just pick them up, they're not going to drive away.
have a little concert for elderly people, things to do. There's a lot of things you can do there. That's great, and congratulations on that too. Can I just, page 52, I want to be pedantic a bit here. Before you go out to exhibition on this, you've got the photo on page 52, and it shows me a box of bananas sitting on the footpath.
Probably illegal.
Thank you. That is my point. So I don't want to go out on, I don't want to go on advertising with an illegal photo that somebody has put bananas on the footpath. So that's what we're trying to avoid in Hurstville,
Yeah, thank
is
you.
having those
Thank
type
you,
of things in
Chair.
there.
We appreciate that's a great pickup.
Thank you. So I wasn't being critical, I was just making sure that we don't go out with that.
Absolutely fair.
Thank you. So that's the whole aim of what we're doing, is to ensure we're going to have clean footpath and we're going to make it vibrant,
And you
not a safety hazard for
don't-
people.
And you don't store food on the footpaths.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Dogs might be on.
No, that's all.
Through that chair.
Yeah.
How many times Forest Road gets cleaned up, a week or a month or however often?
I'll come back to you on that.
Yeah.
My understanding is it's actually cleaned, in terms of the street being cleaned.
I think it's every few
It's a couple
days.
of times a week.
Yeah, it's every few days,
Yeah.
every 2 or 3 days maximum.
But it's not steam cleaned. is it?
No, we're talking about collecting rubbish and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Twice
they go through twice a day. don't
twice a
they?
day, there you go.
Sweeping, but this,
The footpath, twice a day.
the steam cleaning.
No, we're not talking about steam cleaning, we're talking about picking up rubbish, I think.
That's what he's
And
talking
sweeping.
about.
You're talking about
Pick up
steam cleaning, or
rubbish.
we're talking about picking up little rubbish? What are we doing, picking up rubbish or steam cleaning?
Not just rubbish, it's just the footpath, it's just black. You walk on it black.
It needs cleaning.
Yeah, we have chosen the wrong pavers, and I've said that 4 years ago. But that's the policy we had at the time, we couldn't change the pavers. You need something that actually can hide some of that stuff rather than embellish it, make it look better. Anyway. Mate, can I just suggest to the President of the Chamber of Commerce, St George Chamber of Commerce, at any time, and this is being serious, at any time you do see there's rubbish in there or something that's not right, we want our city to be clean. If you don't mind, you can send me a photo, or firstly send to Sue as a photo of that, and she'll send it to the appropriate people for it to be done. And that way, we're all vigilant on what's going on to make sure when people come to our city, they don't go, look how dirty that is. So this is great. You do that, you walk, and don't ever think you're pestering people. You're actually doing us a favour by sending those photographs.
Do I get paid by the council to do that?
Well, we expect you to be a good community person that does it for nothing, like we all do.
So, like, look, it's part of the attendance fee for these meetings.
Yes, it is, exactly. It's the privilege of being here. Now, whatever you see, take a photo, I'm happy to get a photo and a copy to Sue, and that way we can chase it up and we'll make sure.
I don't know if the right person.
We just put it on record now, Mr. President, on record, it goes to Sue, and she or Sue will distribute it to the appropriate people to be taken care of. Right?
Right, Sue, I'll do that.
You can see that. I'm certainly not going to clean it up, but
No.
I'll make sure it gets to the right
We're
person.
not asking to clean up, we're asking to go to the appropriate people to be done.
I always do that.
That's all we're saying. And let's see how that works for the next month or two. That's all we're trying to. We might have to stop after 2 months, but otherwise Sue will be busy all day getting all these photos from you. Come in, Steve. Yeah, your chair's here, mate. No problems. I know you've been working hard today, so I went past.
Thank you.
All right, there's no further discussion on that item. Can we have a mover and a seconder for that?
I'll move that.
Moved by councillor Badalati, seconded by councillor Ketris. Do we have any discussion? If there's none, I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against, declare that carried. Next item we have on the agenda is EDC 17-19, Hurstville City Centre litter reduction program. I think we've got Fiona and Joshua. Joshua, no, just Fiona, is it? Okay, great, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for letting me come and present to you tonight. This is actually a modified presentation that both Josh and I did at the Leader Congress. So we had quite a wide range of bodies in Sydney. And this is a project that we did with Hurstville Public School, specifically targeting Hurstville City. So you're all very familiar with who we are. There's 40,000 people who come through the railway station each day. Wow. So we have a mix of our residents and visitors, workers. And if you have a look here, we've got 84% of our residents speak English and 44% are born overseas. So what we did was, we've got quite a good reputation as Hurstville Public School. We do a lot of projects with them, and they came to us and said, well, we want to do something on litter, and we wanted to do something on Hurstville CBD and Forest Road. So we
You don't have to answer on this.
I think the answer is that the enforcement is difficult. I haven't particularly looked into that issue. I think the acknowledgement from the staff.
It is, it's there, yeah.
To that effect.
Yeah,
But all
it is.
the enforcement of most smoking bans in public spaces is very difficult to.
The garbage bin in Memorial Square, the one just near Forest Road,
Yes,
in the grate that's there,
yes,
there's cigarette butts.
yes. It's the same across the road in the park, the rates seem to attract them and then they get stuck in there. And we found that by just doing that walkthrough with the little waters.
Oh, great.
We actually found that the grates were catching them, which is what we want.
Oh, yeah,
Not going into waterways, but we need to work out a way of actually
Yep.
Remove them, yeah.
I guess you remove them by the way you're cleaning the Forest Road, you can pick them up and put them in the bin. Anyway, yeah, thanks. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
So what we found was that enforcement goes some way,
Mhm.
education goes some way. And what we need to do is try and use a multi-pronged attack for this problem that we have. So what we have done in the past, and we are starting to do in some physical incidents, what we find though is as council regulatory officers, we cannot ask, we can ask someone to produce ID, but we can't make them produce their ID so that we can then issue them the file. So what we're trying to do is target Forest Road when the police are doing their after school patrols and other patrols. So we're trying to work with the police because they can actually demand that someone produces their identification, whereas we can't. So we need to work together a little bit more.
Yeah.
The other thing that we want to do
We
is
don't want to talk.
look at personalised cigarette butt containers and be handing those out to the community. We've been looking at a few different ideas and we're just lining up which are going to be the most successful for us. And also our signage, there's been a couple of other ideas that we're looking at. The subsequent report going to the Environment Planning in October, that we'll be able to talk about some of those other ideas that we have as well. It's more around giving people an opportunity to maybe vote or poll on a question and they put this in their planning. So we're actually capturing it and it's not actually being it. So that's something that we need to present to council first before we can that. So what we found is that the school children feel very passionate about their local environment. And we couldn't take them out of the school, but the teachers had talked to them about when you're next down there, have a look around, see what you can see down there as far as it is concerned. And what we're hoping to do and what we have done is expand this. So when we started with Bristol Public Schools, we've actually had Wadana Public School has approached us to do a very similar project, which we've done with them, and then we're going to roll it out to other schools as well. So we're sort of using her school as our pilot.
Sorry, can I just, because my son goes to Connells Point Public School, we have a very active sustainable project happening, and in terms of reducing litter within the school, we have compost, we've just started to introduce an initiative with bottle top caps because they get sent over for recycling because they make prosthetic limbs for children. So part of that project, because I don't see anything about actually incentivising schools to reduce litter, we're actually going to be moving to keep cups very soon to minimise waste within the school. And I would suggest if council would like, you actually approach our school because we have a very active sustainable committee within it's working within the program.
Yeah, I think that we've actually done some work with Connells School in the past. And we are introducing, because what we found at Bristol Public School was a lot of the rubbish that they had was actually food scraps. So we have put a compost bin into their playground, and we are working with them on the other items of litter and how they can reduce them by having litter-free lunches, waste-free lunches, and things like that. So it's all those sort of promotions through Globe.
And we've even got chickens.
Yeah.
So, and we sell birds and the whole thing, so the kids are very active.
Oh, that's good.
There was a few questions that I can answer now in order for.
All right, is there any questions to Fiona? Does anyone want to ask questions or make any comments?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I raised the issue about Cobra,
Yes,
specifically in Chapel Street.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
almost directly in front of the front door of St George Hospital, where St George Hospital, in their wisdom, put up signage on their property to slow down or prevent people from smoking in their area. So all they've done, and it's masses, they go across the road, right on the sharp bend, and there's literally, without exaggerating, thousands of cigarette butts there. It's quite disgusting. I can't see that it's a problem. I can't see how a problem that St George Hospital have created is now a council problem, when, in my opinion, it should have been sorted out at the hospital itself and made a proper smoking area, so it doesn't move the people onto public property effectively, to clean up the mess.
Yes, yes. Through you, Mr Chair, we have put another litter bin in that area.
Yeah,
So we have one on the side of the hospital.
Yes, that's
in
right.
Chapel Street, and then we have another one on the other side. And what we found was the one on the other side, we kept the round bin because a lot of people don't like to, they like that style bin, but leaving out of it. But you're right, we should be doing more work with the hospital to encourage them that if they are telling their staff and patients to go outside to actually prepare to it.
Yeah, well, they've got the space there. Like there's traditionally, I guess you could say, people have smoked in this particular corner.
They have for years. And
Exactly. So now they've put signage up banning them from doing that. So they
Yeah.
just moved across the road.
The problem is that could be their WHS that says you can't smoke on site. That's the problem they're having. So they move them out of sight. So you cannot do it on site, and that's part of the probably act. But we can help out by putting additional bins. I mean, it's a hospital, so a lot of people work there. You can't smoke on their premises, fine. If we can put some help out by putting a couple of bins out there, they're actually tailor-made to suit cigarette butts, not just rubbish bins.
Exactly.
Because, you know, if someone's smoking, they're going to throw it in the bin, oh, it's still lit, so what if it causes a fire? You want it as simple as easy for them, something that looks like where you can actually do the right thing and throw it in there and finish, and that's what we need to put in there. It's a hospital, so around it, if we can invest a bit more money and get something good, I think it's worthwhile for us and the hospital.
It needs to portray that clean feeling.
Yes.
Clean
Exactly,
feeling.
and they don't want people smoking on their premises as people walk into the hospital. It's meant to be hygienic and so on. But it'd be nice to do it. If we can do that, that would be good, just to put additional bins where appropriate and when it needs to be looked at. So I think it would be a good idea.
And just on the litter bins,
Yep.
the ones in Forest Road, we've also been trialling and working with the team. They're putting some bins with smart sensors, and you'll see the bins on the other side of Forest Road, to those bins. We've actually retrofitted smart sensors into those as well. Same company, same information. So we've had, late last year, we had one of the bins was set on fire. We were able to get it out to it straight away because we knew that the temperature had gone up. It alerted us and we were able to get it out there. So,
I'll promise too that we're going to finish by 7, and I will stick to my promise. Thank you for that. Just one quick thing. We're all excited about Forest Road and we always talk about it. I thought we were meant to be having a, what's it called, different type of bins. You know, you've got the recyclable bins and so on in Forest Road. We haven't put any of that. I thought we were meant to be put recyclable bins, so that way people can put recyclable material in the bins rather than dumping everything in there, and that hasn't happened.
We've actually ordered the bins, and we found that the only bins that actually had recycled material were the ones on the bus interchange.
Oh, okay.
And the ones closest to the station. So we are going to put them in, but if we put them everywhere, they'll be contaminated. So
Oh, they will.
we've got one down at the bottom of the Cobble Station. We've got a garbage bin and a recycling bin, and that was the bin out of all of the Cobble CBD. That was the one that had the most newspapers and cardboard. That's obviously a bin coming down from the station. So that's why we've only put a few, not everywhere.
Okay, that's good. No, thanks for the feedback. That's great.
Can I make a suggestion, because I used to manufacture bins? If you speak to Canterbury Council, my ex-company used to do a lot of work specifically to have bins that are specifically designed for newspapers and for other types of items. And a lot of the train stations are designed that way, so as people can't just use it to put junk in it. And certain areas, particularly if it's a bin outside a newspaper stand, for example, or news agents, they've got slots in them rather than just an opening to allow the junk to go into it. So there is ways of doing it, just, I guess, need to ask the right questions.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, if there's no further discussions, we'll get a motion moved by councillor Aegis, seconded by councillor Catras. Is there any discussion? If there's none, I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against, declare that carried. Next item, EDC 18-19, St George Business Chamber Buy Local campaign. Alan, would you like to talk to us about it, or
Through the chair, I can.
Or Craig? Or Craig, is it? Sorry, Craig. My apologies. It's Craig. It's your report.
This is to give the community information about the campaign.
Yep.
The St George Business Chamber has contacted council to promote its Buy Local campaign.
Yep.
The campaign is the Chamber's major initiative for 2019. The campaign aims to encourage the community to support locally owned business in order to provide employment and investment opportunities. And the background is that the Chamber has been in contact with both our council and Bayside Council with regard to opportunities to support the program. And the Buy Local launch will be held on Tuesday, the 10th of September at the Grand Roxy, Brighton, from 6 till 9 p.m.
And we have had a request from the Chamber that we put a link on the council's website to change the website with the details of the campaign, which we can organise in due course. So that's an initial support. We
Tuesday. To attend. Is that a function or just free attendance? We're going to pay? No, I wasn't sure, because if you're going to ask people, it's for free, is it? Just a launch, is it? Okay, so,
Can I ask? Sorry, can
that's fine. We can be nice because there's people listening on the webcam, that's all. Okay. Yeah.
However, I just want to address, the shopping behavior for the younger generation these days. So, I think, for the younger generation, they actually prefer
By local campaign, to respond specifically.
Can't hear you.
And we walk on the streets with us in this people national street. We try to get everyone to be involved, and we've got so far we've got people to the event. I mean, about 70 so far, yeah. I'm still getting some.
Yeah.
Anyone tonight, they can just email and they'll be working on
I think I'd just like to share, what I actually have observed for the like a younger generation, what the, the ways they spend the money. So it's because it's quite easy for them to buy everything from the internet these days. So obviously they want to help the local business as well. However, if there is no platform or there is no access for them to buy on the internet, then they have to somehow, make the effort to go to the shop. So, or maybe it's really, if, the business are not recognized on the Google or in the digital space, then it will be a little bit difficult for them to reach the business. So I'm wondering if there is any strategies or maybe, future plan to help the business owner to be well-known in the digital space. So, can attract the younger generation to go to the shop and shop.
So I think one of the things that we might be able to talk to the Chamber about in their Buy Local campaign is about how do we make sure that those local businesses who mainly have a digital presence, but are local businesses, how can we promote them through the Buy Local campaign as well, make it very clear to people when you're actually buying from this company, even though you're doing it online, you're actually buying locally in any event, rather than thinking everyone has to buy through Amazon or eBay or whatever. And even on eBay, there's lots of local businesses who use eBay as their platform for selling goods. So it's a good suggestion. We might have a further conversation with the Chamber as they evolve their Buy Local campaign about how we actually recognise online local businesses and not just shop fronts.
Yeah, sorry, can I just say through the chair too, with this campaign, we also need to measure its success. And I'm not sure whether the Chamber has considered how we measure the success in terms of interactions with new customers. The second point I wanted to make is you've got a couple of small shopping precincts which would benefit for something like this, like Penshurst shops or Mortdale or even potentially Oatley. However, and my experience is, because I did have a store in Melbourne, they closed off the street and created a festival. So your fruit shop and your butcher would benefit because you created a meal pack, so you would encourage people to shop along. The coffee shops in the area would have, so it was the Buy Local weekend and it became a festival. At the moment, it's a very nice to have. My concern is that we're all so busy. If I had that on my shop front, chances are most of my customers would not see this and it wouldn't mean much to them.
Not still be walking around those areas.
Yes.
No.
And it's a free membership for 12 months.
But what's the benefit to the customer?
Free membership for 12 months.
Okay. Okay, but what's the benefit for me to be a member?
You get like a membership, free membership, we've got workshops.
Okay, that's what I mean. So workshops for me, but at the end, I want to see traffic coming through. So for me, I want to be able to ensure that I get more people in my door.
For sure, any campaign like this one,
Yes.
is you've got to reckon about getting more people into the shops.
100%.
So I think the campaign like this also has to go along with an education program for young people to let them know by them shopping in a shop rather than on the internet. They're helping to create more jobs.
Unfortunately, Councillor Benelli, I think that's really romantic,
It's
but
really
that's
hard.
not the reality. And I think at the end of the day, what we need to do with this
Well,
campaign.
the reality is that at the same time, shopkeepers have to try and keep prices low enough to be able to compete with the internet.
Then we get into complicated area because then you're talking wages and overheads and all, and that's different.
Well, that's right, but for every extra customer that you get inside the shop, the cost per customer of wages, etc., comes down.
So, yeah, and the whole point of this campaign for me is how do I measure it? The one that was done in Melbourne, each consumer was given a card. So when they purchased from that store, we recorded their access so we could actually measure what interactions were done because of the campaign. So the whole point is it's a lovely idea, but I think the reality is, and bringing to Claire's point, some people are more selfish because they will shop for convenience. Whether or not it supports a small business is irrelevant to them.
I think that the whole aim is to be made aware about local businesses, buy local.
Yeah.
What do you make people aware? You can't make them go in and buy. I know from my kid, I get online and buy what they want to buy. Why would I need to go to Penshurst to the shopping mall? But when they're walking, you see signs sitting there, and they go, well, why the local? Gee, maybe I might be supporting my people. Some people might say, I'm going to care less, and others will say, gee, I might be supporting my local people, I might be paying extra $1. It's nice to support this man here that's working here.
No disagreement.
And that's what this sort of thing, just give that awareness to the.
But I understand, but the point is, we measure it. If it's not working this way, then we tweak it. Because we're trying to raise awareness. So if this campaign doesn't work the way we're trying to advertise it now, then we need to change the message and how we're getting it across.
I don't know, how do you measure it?
That's what that's what I'm asking.
But when they do
They had cards. So basically, no, it was a local shopper card. So basically, when you walked in, you made a transaction and you had that card, it was incentivized. So basically, we could record that they came into us and they went into a draw to win $1,000 prize or whatever the case may be.
What's the card entitled you to?
No, it entitled you to go into a draw if you supported local business. And it also, what it was measuring, no, but Councillor, what it allowed was the small business to measure how successful that campaign was, because people were coming into their store with that card because they were inspired. And they had a local shopper's bag and they did the whole thing. But we had, Penshurst, for example, has got everything you need. You've got an IGA, you've got a butcher, you've got whatever. So you want to encourage people to go there. Oakley's got a couple of fashion shops, Mortdale's got gift shops. The whole point is, if we're encouraging local business, you want them to come to your store. And how do we measure that?
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say there are a couple of really good ideas that Tanya's just said, and I think that depends how far you want to take this. You know, is this just an awareness campaign that we're talking about, or are we going to take this, or is this something, sorry, the Chamber's going to take, or, you know, maybe in partnership with other organisations to the next level, where you could be getting sponsorships for, you know, holidays, $1,000 here, you know, gift cards. You could be jumping into this, but it depends on where that you take that in there. And what my suggestion as well was going to be, I'd like to see further reports over time, because I think it's a really good campaign for small business. I think it's a good campaign, particularly for those little economic centres around that we have, not just the major economic centres. And I think that there is a lot of good ideas that have just come out of it then. But, you know, again, measuring it, again, having sponsorship, which you could have, you know, whether it's a holiday, whether it's, you know, a weekend away somewhere, where you do get gift cards. It just depends on the level you want to take it, and in partnership with other organisations that may jump on board. I would like to also see that, you know, future reports come back to see the progression of this, and then this forum here may be able to provide ideas where we could take it to the next level as well. So I'd love to see that come through.
Discourage this initiative. My comments are that we get it right. That's it, because it is very important that we keep people engaged and we keep people in small business. The whole point is, you know, we must get it right, because it is very discouraging for a small business year on year if they're losing clientele or if they're struggling to keep the doors open. I mean, many of us here have had small business, so you don't pay yourself super, you don't pay yourself, it's all goodwill. So I'm not here to discourage you. My comments are that we get it right, and it means we have to measure it.
Through the chair, what else can you do? You just go and open the shops.
So
We go and walk the shops, you talk to the business people, you've done the event, we do shop, workshops as well. You can't, you know, if they don't want to buy from the shop, what do you do? I mean, you know, it's just-
Through the chair, I'm just wondering, you know, during this campaign, is council or maybe chamber will provide a business guide for people to know, you know, what business actually are in the local area. See, for example, if someone want to buy fashion clothes, they can go through this guide and then just go to the shop directly. Is there any guide for the local business, like, or maybe local business dictionary or something? Directory, sorry.
I've got a comment from council. This is actually the Chambers program. I'm sure some of the ideas today may assist them as they evolve this program. And we've offered some assistance where possible in terms of this program. For example, we can certainly promote it, but I hear the concerns about it actually having an intent and purpose and about measurable results and about how you encourage change people's behaviour so they see their item shopping precinct as as lived experience and not just as transaction location.
In response
Without the
to
experience.
that, a few years back, Perth Council used to produce exactly what you're talking about, a business directory. And every business in Perth and now samples used covered it with safety. What happens with that?
So one of the outcomes of both the place strategy, through Mr. Chairman, one of the outcomes of both the place strategy for Hurstville and recommended at the Hurstville as well is what's known as place strategy for Cobra is a brand and marketing process or program for those areas. So actually are out there talking about and creating a new brand for Hurstville as a shopping and retail precinct and a dining precinct. So actually that's one of the tasks of the Hurstville strategy. So it's not it's actually really thinking about who the customers are, who the people you want to attract, who the people you actually want to stay, and how do you get to them. So that's actually one of the early moves in terms of that strategy.
Through the chair, can I make a suggestion too? And maybe for the small business chamber, maybe we create like an entertainment book where the small businesses provide offers and our customers can spend $20 for that book, and we may have 150 retailers that offer an incentive to go in and shop. So that could be 20% off or 5% off or 10% off. I know they work. People buy entertainment books all the time. And we just make it specific to this area, and that might be something that you work in conjunction with council. But at the end of the day, that's a great way to measure whether people are shopping local as well.
You do that. Yep. One of the problems we have is two separate chambers. Well, supposedly two separate chambers, rather than everybody working together. What's it called? The Southern Sydney Chinese Chamber of Commerce or something.
I think you're referring to us, BEC, Southern Sydney.
No.
Yours are good.
The BEC is good. No, it's different. It's different. There's a Chinese.
Oh, yes.
Well, they call themselves a chamber, but in the past we've asked for a set of accounts when they wanted a donation, etc., and they never delivered anything. So, yeah, it's different.
Can we?
Yeah, I'll move a motion to that.
Yeah. So moved by Councillor Ager, seconded by Councillor Bailey. The motion is to have a report come back to council with ideas or suggestion to the chambers or along with the chambers on how to promote and how to monitor and how to work out the success of it.
Yeah.
We're not expert here.
That's it. Can we move to that effect?
Yep, moved by, as I said, Councillor Ager, seconded by Councillor Bailey.
That a further report with more ideas come to the chamber. You're gonna have stereo. There you go.
Anyway, I usually need the microphone because when you have to welcome the Mayor of Georges River Council to the meeting, you've got to have a microphone. So I'd like to welcome the Mayor, Kevin Green, to the meeting. All right, so I'll put there's no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against, declare that carried. And we're trying to rush, as we said, because we've got another meeting to go to. The next item is EDC 19-19, 2019 St George Business Breakfast. Craig, is it? Okay, yep.
I can just do that very
Yep,
quickly.
Sue, yep.
Mr. Chair, this is just advice to the committee about the joint breakfast on the 18th of September between the Chamber and the Council. I think it's explanatory in the report, we'll just bring everyone up to date. All members of the committee should have received an invitation. If you haven't, please let us know, and we'd love you to be there. I think I've got a hand up, someone who hadn't been invited, but yes. So we'll chase that up. Thank you very much.
And you'll have a presentation by the mayor as well, so you'd better attend. It's there. All right, if there's no discussion on that, can I get a motion moved by councillor Agius, seconded by Mr. Drake? Is there any discussion? If there's none, I'll put that. All in favour say aye. Against, declare that carried. The next item, which is an interesting one, EDC 20-19, Building and Business Identification Signage Report.
So, Chair, I will also speak to this item, if that's okay. Only because I do have a previous background in planning and regulatory matters, so I sort of understand what the issue is here. Unfortunately, the officer who's responsible for this matter is on leave and was therefore not able to attend. That's the Manager of Environmental Health and Regulatory Services. In essence, the challenge for the signage issues in Hurstville and even in other parts of our LGA is that under the state government rules, which is under the exempted complying codes, you can put up signs in any language using any character you like without approval. Yet if you require approval because the size of the sign would exceed the standards under those codes, our DCP, both the DCP COGRA and the DCP, it was the Hurstville DCP, we specified that they should be if they're going to be in more than one of those languages, it had to be English and another language. This makes enforcement very difficult because you'd be going to a building and saying, you can't have this sign, but you can have this sign. It's a very difficult enforcement regime. Also, we find the audit undertaken while there were some signs that didn't comply. And in fact, only 3.9% of the premises within the Hurstville city centre didn't actually comply when you applied both the codes and the state government's codes and the council's DCP. So that makes it a very difficult process for enforcement. We did speak earlier about talking about town improvement programs as such a better way to address the general appearance of some buildings, which may include signage in some cases. So I actually think that may be a more effective way to deal with this issue. If the committee really would like further information, we may have to wait until the manager of Environmental Health and Regulatory Services is available to speak on it in more detail, because it's the general compliance issues are challenging.
Okay.
Just a question on that.
Yes.
It's 3.9%, we're saying under the Hurstville Development Control Plan.
No, that's the COGRA one.
No, it says with regards to
That's a
Hurstville City Centre,
one.
the
It says COGRA.
reported that
It says COGRA.
3.9% of premises did not comply with the development control plan.
Yeah, but is that in Hurstville City Centre?
That's the city centre area, what would be defined as the city centre.
Okay, so we're saying there's 3,500 businesses or shopfront.
What's
Because
that?
if 138
It's a lot.
represents 3.9%.
Wow, yeah.
100% is 3,500
Your maths is
shopfronts.
excellent,
Well,
Councillor.
that's,
I have to say, I'm reading the report prepared by someone else
yeah, right.
and commenting on it, and he may be able to explain whether or not he's done that by the percentage of signage or just as the total number of premises.
Okay, that's one thing.
Number of available premises.
3,000 in the Hurstville CBD.
3,500, is that right? Okay. The other thing is it talks about having a presence on WeChat.
Yes.
What's the thinking behind that?
So the council has considered best ways to engage with our local Chinese community, and their preferred social media platform is WeChat. And therefore, to enable us to perhaps engage and bring to their attention things that are happening within we are looking to establishing a presence on WeChat. It would be just a posting, not a bit like a mini website, not even like, perhaps like a Facebook post only. It's not like Twitter where we're constantly adding information. A few updates every year, but it could bring the community's attention to various matters that are happening in the local government area, particularly those that affect
The other point
would operate like a network association.
All right. Well, I'd like to move that this recommendation, this report gets deferred actually until the author of the report can come here and explain the report. Good. I think it's an important report. And to me, there'd be a few questions that I'd like to ask him directly. So if I could move that this report gets deferred till Mr. Andrew Spoon is back.
And meeting with as many people as you can, Sue, that is a great way to do it, and we need to do this. We need to canvass all the peoples. The only thing sometimes we've got to be mindful is a balance between undermining the chamber or undermining others by giving certain groups a high status. If they get this high status, they go, we don't need to go to the chamber, we don't need to deal with them because council talks to us direct and we're in charge, so the chamber is not really, is irrelevant. That's where we have to draw a balance, that's what I'm saying. So just a comment about the balance where we sit with.
And I meet with the chamber every 6 months.
And I appreciate this, I'm just saying, others, they may think they've got the ear of the council, so there's no need to be part of any other groups. That's all we're saying. All right, so is there any further discussions or, and I do got to apologise to Sue, because I said I'll finish at 7 because we have another meeting, but when you see such people in here with everyone's passionate about what we're doing and all the items, and we normally have a 2-hour meeting rather than 1 hour, I just couldn't help it but to go over the time. So it's so can I put the motion? All in favour, say aye. Against, declare that carried. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and we do apologise for the short meeting, but it's been quite good. So there's no further business. I declare the meeting closed at 7:17. Thank you.